I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And what I wanted to do was, first I want to fix my phone here. I wanted to talk for a second about, about this whole thing with LeBron James and LeBron and his, and the way I think that they're going to take down LeBron. I think that LeBron is going to be, I think that LeBron over time is in serious jeopardy of being sort of taken down by media. I mentioned this last night in my conversation when I was talking to you guys about the way the narrative with LeBron is starting to shift. And this is not disconnected from the fact that he's a black man. As a black man, the way the world talks about you is a lot different from the way people talk about you if you're white. I think that with LeBron, what you're seeing right now is this whole interesting sort of adjustment in the way he's being described. He's vulnerable right now in a way that he's never been vulnerable in his career. And typically when you become more vulnerable, people start to smell blood in the water. LeBron used to be King James. He was the guy that could do no wrong. He was able to, win championships in a single bound or at least get close to it. And so he had a lot of protection. There were a lot of people that I think had his back that would, make sure he was okay. He was allowed to say and do things that a lot of athletes could not do. That athletes, no athlete throughout history has really been able to do without, being punished and things like that. Well, things change though when you're not winning championships anymore. Things change when you go from being seen as King James to be seen as a mere mortal. And I talked about this extensively last night, where I was sort of explaining, like we were looking at the headlines and sort of showing where the headlines are starting to question LeBron and say, and question him not just on the court, but really off the court. Like question him, is he a bad person? Like, is he a mean guy in the locker room? Is that why nobody will play with him? Are the other teams colluding to keep their all-stars away from him? Is he a bad teammate? He had an incident where he wasn't sitting next to the other players during a timeout, and there was a whole speculation about whether or not he was just being a bad teammate and a sore loser. And the thing is that this isn't a far cry from the other typical techniques that are used by media to ultimately destroy a black man. Usually when a black man is taken down by media, it's not usually based on just factual circumstances. A lot of times black men are taken down based on things like character. Like when for example, when Michael Vick got took down, everybody knew he was doing the dogfighting thing, which we know is illegal. But then what happens is the character conversation starts to come into play, which ultimately leads to a more extensive punishment, a greater degree of a lynch mob mentality toward that person. And I don't know how LeBron's been able to avoid this for most of his career. The only time he got it, which I thought was unfairly, was when he went to Miami and he held that thing called The Decision. And they said, oh, well, LeBron's not a good person because why would a good person do something like this? And it was like, well, because he's 25 years old at the time. I mean, he's a kid. He's able to do it wherever the hell he wants. And it wasn't like he was being disrespectful. But the margin of error for a black man, especially a black man in the public eye, is very, very slim. And it's not a big jump for you to go from being beloved by white people to being hated by white people. The lynch mob mentality has been in full effect for 400 years, and there's an extra degree of racial hot sauce that is sort of spun onto stories that relate to a black man that aren't spun on stories that relate to white guys. You look at Bill Cosby, and Bill Cosby, at one minute, he's America's dad. The next minute, he's America's felon. You go to Michael Jackson, one minute, he's the king of pop. Next minute, he's a child molester. You go back to Tiger Woods. One minute, Tiger is a walking endorsement, a walking corporation. The next minute, he's this dirty ass, horrible man who cheated on his wife, right? Again, character judgments. These are all character judgments, right? So I think that with LeBron, these character judgments are significant, or they're going to continue to grow. And I talked about that last night. Now, what's fascinating is this morning I woke up and the first headline that I saw was a conversation about his game last night against the New York Knicks. The title was LeBron has his worst quarter ever. which it was. I mean, it wasn't a lie. He missed 11 shots. And then they said, and he gets his last shot blocked. So he shoots the game-winning shot, and the game-winning shot gets blocked. So in front of the whole world, they're seeing King James get dethroned, right? They're seeing him go from being a vibrant young 20-something-year-old to a old man who can't run and jump like he used to. Almost like when I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember this, but there was a time when Allen Iverson crossed over Michael Jordan. When Jordan was getting kind of old, I think Jordan was like a late 30s at the time, and he was guarding Iverson, and Iverson crossed him over, and they just replayed that highlight over and over again. And that's what happens. It's sort of the mindset is the king is dead, the king is down. You know, now there's going to be a new king. And so with LeBron, that's what he's sort of seen on the court. He's seen the dethroning of LeBron James, where people are finding that he's not invincible. He's made out of kryptonite, you know, they found his kryptonite. They're finding that LeBron made a huge mistake by going to Los Angeles. He's not going to play in the playoffs this year. There's a good chance he'll never compete for a championship again. There's a good chance he may never make the playoffs again. I mean, the Lakers are terrible and they can't get any good players. And so on the court, you're seeing this natural decline that occurs in the life of an NBA player. But what happens is that translates to off the court. You see, when you're winning, you have a type of protection that you don't have when you're not winning anymore. Like Tiger Woods' daddy, when Tiger was all caught up in all the chaos and stuff people were saying about him when he was young, when he was 21, when he first got started, his father basically gave him really good advice. He said, just put the ball in the hole. If you put the ball in the hole, everything will work itself out. Just put the ball in the hole. And that's what he did. And when he put the ball in the hole, everything was fine. You know, and so with LeBron, he ain't putting the ball in the hole no more. And now you're starting to see all this extra stuff, right? And that's what happens when you talk about the character assassination of a black man, is that what they do is they will take something that is factual, and then they'll create spin-offs, and spin-offs and innuendo and speculation based on that which is not factual, right? So for example, with R. Kelly, that's one good example of a black man that's been kind of ruined, kind of destroyed. Same thing with Bill Cosby. They take the factual piece. The factual piece is that R. Kelly slept with underage girls. I believe that that's true. I think a lot of people believe that that's true. But then they spun that into, oh, and by the way, his girlfriends that are in their 20s and 30s, he's also abusing them, beating them, locking them in a room. You know, he's doing these horrible things to them because he's just a bad guy, right? And these things are all easy to believe because you've got the factual that anchors the non-factual. Right, so it's almost like the way police pin crimes on black men. What they'll do is they don't pin the crime on regular people who never committed a crime. They pin it on the guy who has a record. So they'll say, well, I mean, look, he murdered somebody and he robbed a bank, so clearly he must have done all these other murders too. So they'll pin murders and other things on people because they've got the factual to anchor the speculation and the innuendo, right? And so anyway, in statistics, we call that Bayesian Priors. Bayesian Priors are basically when you have a prior conception of someone or something, and it shapes how you interpret new information, right? So because I already think you're a bad person, because I already think you're a criminal and a thug and a gangster and a hoodlum, it's easy for me to be convinced that you did some criminal, thug, gangster, hoodlum shit. And so anyway, same thing with Bill Cosby. With Bill Cosby, you know, the factual that we could prove is that he was a heavy womanizer, slept with a lot of white women. The part that we couldn't really prove is that he touched that lady Andrea Constand, the one that got him sent to prison. But because of the factual that he slept with all these women, and then the innuendo / factual, which again, there's no evidence that he ever drugged or raped anybody, but there's so many accusations that it almost makes it factual in the minds of a lot of people because, you know, 50 people accusing you of the same thing, you know, it has weight, right? That led them to accept the speculation that he must have touched Andrea Constand's titty or whatever it was that he allegedly did that cost him $3 million and sent him to prison. But, you know, and then also on top of that, when you're talking about the accusations themselves, or the accusations of drugging and raping women, you know, there were cases where it was very clear or where the witness had a lot of credibility. And because of those cases, the people that didn't have credibility, like the drug addicts, who bragged for years that they were friends with Cosby, who kept calling him for money, who kept going to hang out at his house, who kept hanging out around with him, were able to get credibility because the credibility was anchored, or excuse me, their lack of credibility anchored itself on the credibility of others, right? So because these 3 or 4 women that, you know, you believe have made this speculation on Cosby or made this accusation against Cosby, then you're going to go ahead and accept the accusations of women that you would normally not believe if they were making the accusation on their own. So with LeBron, what I'm saying is that I think his character assassination will start with the factual. The factual is LeBron ain't winning no more. You know, the factual is LeBron is an old man now. LeBron's Lakers are garbage. He's not King James anymore. Whether he likes it or not, he's just not King James anymore. The speculation and the innuendo is LeBron's a terrible teammate. LeBron is mean to everybody in the locker room. LeBron, LeBron is not he's not a team player. You know, he doesn't support the other guys on the team. That's why they can't win. That's why everyone's leaving. Blah 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 blah. Right. In the summer, it's going to grow. It starts basketball related, then it grows into non-basketball related, into the formation of a character visualization that the American public will be given. So in the summer, you're going to see LeBron, I think, dramatically and perhaps even desperately working to preserve his status as King James. Like he's a competitor, so he's going to be, being aggressive. He's going to be pushing to try to get better players. He's going to be doing everything he can behind the scenes. And then reporters are going to come out, white reporters mostly, are going to come out and start reporting on stories and saying, there's rumor that LeBron James is the reason coach so-and-so got fired. There's rumor that LeBron James is demanding to be traded. There's rumor that LeBron he demanded and he pushed out so-and-so from the team. And then next thing you know, where it's going to really hit full circle, I want you to look out for these, is when they start talking about non-basketball related character assassinations. Like a lot of times for black men especially, it comes down to some woman. It comes down to a woman. So some woman comes out and makes some sort of bombshell accusation against LeBron, he's mentally abusive, or he cheated on his wife, or he whatever, right? And that what that does is that then causes people to become very self-righteous, very hypocritical, and all these people that are doing the same thing you're doing are going to start pointing their finger at you and saying you're a bad person. And I think that's the reason I think that's going to happen with LeBron is because I don't think LeBron's safe. LeBron is not safe because LeBron has been a fierce and a loyal servant or supporter of the black community. LeBron has done a great job of advocating on issues that matter. LeBron has stood up. He called the NFL owners a bunch of slave masters, which I don't think they've ever had a player of his caliber ever make a statement like that. Not since Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown. And I think that when that occurs, there are people just sitting back saying, okay, I ain't gonna say shit right now. But just wait till your ass ain't winning no more. Wait till the public turns against you. Oh, I'm gonna be right there waiting on you, partner. I'm gonna take you down. And I think that that's what they're aiming to do. So that's my thought on LeBron. I wanted to get that thought out there so it's there, so that 2 years from now, if it happens, you can go back and look at this video and kind of get a sense of where this was going. And you're right, it is typical slave master subversive tactic, and I think they're going to use this on LeBron James, and I'm going to support him no matter what. I don't care what they say about the brother. I'm still going to give him credit for the good things that he's done in this world, and I think that we have to avoid that temptation that we typically see when a black man gets accused of one thing. We want to deny him credit for all things he did right. Like we want to, because Bill Cosby was accused of this thing over here, we want to act like the Cosby Show never happened and that he never did anything good for the world, that he did not single-handedly give with his wife the greatest HBCU donation in history. And all these Negroes in Hollywood are lining up behind that nonsense. They line up and point fingers or whatever, but none of them are signing, $20 million checks for HBCUs. They won't even give $100, $200, $300, $400,000, let alone $20 million. So I personally think that we live in a world where half the people that are accusing Cosby and other people, they got their own dirt, they got their own shit. A lot of these people, that'll go out and assault black men in public and talk bad about black men and whatever. A lot of these people, if you dug in their lives and dug up the skeletons in their closet and laid out an expose of every shitty thing they've done, they would look equally bad. But we don't talk about that because we're like, no, we want to focus on this. We want to focus on this. No. I want to focus on you. I want to talk about you too. And so anyway, that's it. Those are my thoughts this morning. I'm about to get to work. Do me a favor, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe button, and all that stuff, and retweet. If you're on Twitter, please retweet this conversation. And also, if you want to get text notifications when I go live, text the word Boyce to 31996, 31996. Just text my name Boyce to 31996. And also those of you who are interested in getting books like Powernomics and stuff like that to help expand your thinking, books like Powernomics, I keep it with me everywhere I go. You can go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. So take care. We have a lot of great stuff for you guys if you're interested, and I hope that this helps you. So I'll see you soon. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Peace.